Here are two shortwave radios. They have in common, number one, they're both made by Yaesu, and number two, they don't work, have a problem. So that's what's going to be the subject of this video. I'm going to take one of these. I think I'll take this one first, the FRG-7700, and go through that one and try to repair that one, and hopefully we'll be successful, and then we can try to repair this one. I'm not sure. This one has been out of service for a long time. I bought this one, oh my gosh, I bought this when my late son was born, 1987, so I've had this one for a long time. This one conked out a couple years ago. Never got around to fixing it. This was a Hamfest one. I don't know what the problem is, so we'll find out. Stand by. The FRG-7700, this is the one that came out before the 8800. A little different topography, how they did the circuitry in this one. There was a lot of improvements between the 7700 and the 8800. Anyway, this is typical of those. They cover about 150 kilohertz to 29.9 megahertz or 30 megahertz, the shortwave bands. This one has AM, FM, and sideband. In an AM, it has three different bandwidths you can pick: a wide, a medium, and a narrow, which is kind of handy. Also with this one, I have the FRA-7700. This is an active antenna and preamp, and that connects in the back, can be used with this radio. And also on the right is the FRT-7700, and that's an antenna tuner, and that will help match the output of your antenna to the input of the receiver here. One thing I noticed difference on the FRA-7700 that I have here, the one in the manual shows a telescopic antenna that plugs in the top of the unit. This one doesn't have that. This just has a SO239 connector on the back here. So that's a discrepancy I found between the manual, which you can see here. It shows a telescopic antenna, which I thought was possible change, production change. I don't know the history of that, but I found that interesting. So I'm going to remove these two units on the top. I'm going to open up the FRG-77 and we'll power it up and see what the symptoms are. So stand by for that. The unit's plugged in. Got the volume up. Hit the power. Unit's dead, but I do hear a hum and a click or a thump in the speaker. So that sounds like a power supply problem for me. So I'm going to open the unit up and we're going to see what we find in the power rails here. So stand by. This has had some modifications done to it. It says all band preamp here. There's a choke that's connected to the power supply, but I see it's disconnected, so you can see this lead's hanging here from the choke. It looks like it's just hanging off of this shield, soldered on the shield. So I think what I'm going to try to do, if I can, I really don't want that. I don't know if this will produce enough heat to remove that. It should. Hopefully this is the only place this is connected. This was a Hamfest find, so this is kind of going to be exploratory. I might have to persuade it a little bit to remove. Yeah, looks like it's coming loose. And the ground. And we've got leads running underneath. Under the board. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to, it's kind of a mess. I'm going to remove this. Looks like they tacked it in, input and output here. There's a cap to tune it here. I'm going to remove this and then I'm going to be back. This is interesting. It has the external DC supply jack here on the back, and normally that would plug into J2 here on the power supply board, but in this case they've wired it, well, they went through a fuse, which is good, and then they wired it across the across the bridge rectifier. So I'm going to remove that next. When you get stuff from Hamfest, you really don't know what you're going to find. Here's the power supply board. I'm going to leave the output transistors connected. Here you can see on the bridge rectifier where they had tapped in here. So I don't know. I'm going to remove all that solder on those leads. One thing they did do, though, good, they connected a fuse in series with a DC jack. I don't know why they didn't just use the jack. Right here is where you plug in your external 12 volt DC. So it's nice they added a fuse, but the only thing is, and here on the schematic is that jack, that JO2. You really want to have a blocking diode in series with a line coming in. So I've disconnected it and I am going to power it on and see what my voltages are. Looks like I should get 13, 11, 13.5 on here. Anyway, we'll see. Hopefully the transformer's good. It was humming, so if that goes bad, I do have some transformers that would substitute for this, but I'd just as soon not lose that. Anyway, I will check those voltages next. I'm going to measure this terminal 3, which is next to the ground here, which would be this terminal. I'm going to measure that point. It should be 13 volts. And it looks like it's 0. Okay, well, it looks like we have a bad bridge rectifier. I'm going to measure the AC into the rectifier next. Well, this is confusing. Here's one of the AC inputs to the bridge rectifier, and the leg is cut. And this black and blue wire that bridges that gap went down to the DC in jack on the back. I don't figure that. I don't understand that at all. So I am going to complete that terminal here on the rectifier. And I don't know, these must have gone down and connected together to complete that circuit. I don't understand why they did that. That jack is where the DC comes in, and that's supposed to go into the jack over here. So I'm going to complete this circuit, remove these wires, and try it again. See if we get anything. I'm going to measure the pass transistor here, which would be connected here from the power supply board. So I'm going to measure, I should get the unregulated voltage on the collector and the regulated 11 volts on the emitter. So let's check and see. On the emitter I have 1.7 millivolts, basically 0. On the collector I have 17 volts. Oh, in the base I have 17 volts. We've got a bad pass transistor, I believe. I'm going to pull the power supply, turn it off. I'm going to pull the power supply off and test it externally from the receiver here. I'll do that next. I'm going to check the ESR on some of these caps. Here's the main filter cap. That one looks good. Some of these smaller caps. Yeah, 2.5. That one is marginal, I guess. Yeah, these These three caps, these are small. Let's see, 10, 33, and 1. I'm going to replace these three caps. And for now, I'll leave the main cap. And they're Elna capacitors, which I don't really... I've had some bad luck with those over the years. Had a spectrum analyzer with Elna caps. It leaked all over the place. It was an Advantest spectrum analyzer. What a mess. Anyway, I'm going to replace those caps. I'm going to check this pass transistor and these other transistors also. I'll do that next. This is the main pass transistor. I'm going to measure the terminals here using the diode function on the multimeter. First of all, collector to emitter, which would be red to orange, should be open both directions. It is. Collector to base, which would be red to yellow. We get a diode drop. And base to emitter, yellow to orange. So that would be here. We've got an open base emitter junction. So this pass transistor is bad. So I'll have to find a substitute for that. That'll be next. I'm going to substitute for the 2SD288 with a tip 41C. A little better ratings. I've soldered it on the leads here. And it shows good with a beta of 180. So we will use this transistor. I've replaced the bad pass transistor using a tip 41C. This is a better transistor, a little higher ratings. I also had a bad Zener diode that I found. Let's see, it's a 4.7 volt Zener here. This was bad. So now I'm getting, what I'm doing, I'm feeding a bench DC supply across the bridge rectifier. I've disconnected from the transformer, so that's perfectly okay. So I'm going positive to negative, running 14 volts in. And now I'm measuring 9.55 volts across the emitter. The collector's got 14, so it is regulating. And temporarily I've got this transistor on a heatsink here. So I think what I'm going to do now is put it back in the unit and see if we have good luck with this thing. So we'll try that next. I have a bench supply DC set for 13.8 volts. Got the current set up, and I'm going to run this into the power supply here. I'm going to just go across the bridge. I've disconnected the transformer here. I have no AC power coming in, so I'm basically going to feed DC into the bridge and see what happens. Anyway, see what we get here.
One at American Family Field. Milwaukee's losing streak ends 6.
I mean, we're looking now.
We're all in. Feels like a ball game, and
well, that seems to work. So now I'm going to reconnect the transformer and run it off the line. Here is the pass transistor, the tip 41C that I replaced. So I'll do that next, and we'll give it the smoke test. Hope this transformer is going to not upset me here, so stand by. I've got the transformer reconnected here, secondary to the power supply board. So now we'll give it a test here.
in large commercial industrial spaces, we built our reputation on doing.
So that works. So anyway, that that was the problem here. Here's an 80 meter ham band at about 5:30 in the morning. Little activity. Let's try 40 meters. Surprised there's no CW. There it is. So to wrap this up, I removed all band preamp, which looks like kind of neat. Somebody made a preamp and used copper clad board as an enclosure. Kind of neat. I don't really want that, so I removed that. That was connected through this choke here to the power supply. And they got a regulator on it here. What I replaced was this pass transistor. This was a 2SD288 that was bad. Had an open base emitter junction. I had 3 capacitors that were marginal, so I replaced those. And then I had a bad Zener diode, which I replaced with a 4732 Zener here. These are a little bit better ratings than the one that was in there. So now,
And ensures every installation is done with care.
we have a working unit. I'm going to go through an alignment of this thing because I'm not sure what else was done. I did move the pass transistor that was over here. I moved it over here, a little more convenient spot. I need to redress a couple leads. I'm going to remove this. I think what I'll do is I will rewire this 12 volt jack. I'll keep the fuse, but I'm going to connect to this connector on the power supply board that was made for the back connector. It was an option in the manual that you could add. The jack was there, but they had rewired it some way. Here's where the preamp was soldered to the shield. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to clean the switches, put it back together, and then I can get rid of my shortwave that uses a slide rule dial, which is okay on old DX150, but I miss having the memories on this unit. So that'll do it for this one. I'm going to do an alignment and we'll go to the next unit, the FRG-7800. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.